Robert Eugene Otto was born on the 25th of October 1900 into one of the wealthiest families in the Floridian city of Key West. From a young age, he preferred his second name over his first, and was known to everyone in his household simply as Gene. By the age of 3, his parents had duly commenced the search for a nursemaid to supplement their staff and attend to their son's needs. After several interviews, a Bahamian lady was finally employed, who quickly went on to form a close bond with her young charge. But the nurse was soon to discover why there was such a speedy turnover of staff within the family, when she was handed her notice for the most trivial of matters. It was never established if the hand-stitched doll she handed to Jean prior to her departure was created to ease the boy's heartache, or to perhaps simply irritate his parents. Regardless, Gene immediately fell in love with his new companion, a 3-foot-tall puppet dressed in a sailor's uniform, who he named Robbert. In no time at all, he was spending hours with his new best friend, and as the servants went about their business, they would regularly catch the sound of 2 young boys conversing with one another, coming from behind the closed door of his bedroom. Quite naturally, it was assumed that Gene was providing the voice for Robbert, affecting a slightly gruffer tone to differentiate it from himself. But soon, rumours began to circulate amongst some of the servants that they believed they had in fact heard 2 distinctly different voices coming from the young boy's room. Then, one day, Gene's panicked screams brought his parents running upstairs. As they hurried across the landing towards his bedroom, they also heard what they thought was devilish laughter, which continued as they then struggled to open his door. Finally, with the help of a servant, they managed to force entry. Inside, the Ottos found their son cowering on his bed, his furniture and toys lying overturned and broken all around him. When they tried to find out from Gene what had taken place, all he could reply was that Robbert had done it, whimpering and pointing across to the doll, which was now sat on the window ledge, staring back into the room. As time passed, Gene and his possessions were plagued by further supernatural occurrences. These included some of his other dolls being discovered hidden around the house, mysteriously torn and mutilated. There were also incidents where servants working in a particular room subsequently found themselves locked inside, when no other person was present in the house with them. Several items of family silverware were also discovered bent or warped out of shape. More than one of the servants openly stated that they believed the nursemaid had used voodoo or some other form of black magic to curse the doll she had given to the boy before she left. Eventually, when his parents passed away, Gene would go on to inherit the Otto family home. With his love for his childhood friend undiminished, he happily gifted Robbert his own bedroom, where the doll was placed in a chair by the window to sit and stare down at passers-by. In time, Jean fell in love and married a local woman called Anne. But his insistence that Robbert should sit with them at the dinner table and sit on a chair in their bedroom at night would go on to put great pressure on the marriage. Finally, at the behest of his new wife, Otto agreed to lock the doll in the attic and have no further contact with it. Unsurprisingly, this only seemed to make things worse. Parents from the neighborhood began to attend the address, complaining that the doll was pointing and gesturing from the attic window, terrifying their children who were playing on the road outside. Anne Otto was plagued by the sound of footsteps coming through the ceiling above their room, only to find nobody up there besides the doll when she and her husband went to investigate. Eventually, she suffered a full mental breakdown and was committed to a local asylum. Jean went on to pass away in 1974, at which point both the deeds of the Otto household and its hand-stitched occupant passed to new hands. When the 10-year-old daughter of the new owners became plagued by visions of Robbert the doll trying to kill her, the aging puppet was quickly removed from the address and donated to the nearby East Martello Museum. Robbert remains there to this day, safely contained in a glass case. But stories of his supernatural shenanigans persist. It is said that it's almost impossible to take a photograph of him, with cameras and electronic devices regularly malfunctioning when visitors attempt to do so. There have also been reports that some tourists have seen the doll's facial expressions change, with his hands sometimes twitching down by his sides inside his display case. It would seem that whatever strange powers the doll possesses remain undiminished following the death of its beloved owner.